Your boss will never pay you enough to be his neighbor. Title of the video says it right there. You get the gist of it. But I think that's kind of a topic worth extrapolating or at least acknowledging painful corporate truths. Your boss will never pay you enough to be his neighbor or want to pay you enough to be his neighbor. So one of the things I've noticed in the corporate system is the facilitation of this weird society where you have this what's the right word? Demarcation. There's the word of the day. The demarcation, the division between middle managers, especially middle managers, who get this sense of entitlement and who will feel superior to you over time. Pretty much the way I look at the whole corporate system is one larger type of version of the Stanford prison experiment. Let me explain. So for those who don't know, the Stanford prison experiment was an experiment at Stanford University, I believe it was the 70s, where in the basement, this psychology professor wanted to conduct an experiment with these students, and he divided them in two groups after school, the guards and the prisoners. But what became very apparent was after a set amount of time doing the experiment, the students who were portraying the guards started to act with a degree of arrogance and abusiveness towards the students being the prisoners. And it got really out of hand, and it set a precedent for certain controls being in place for future experiments of that kind of nature. But it was very, very, very important because it really describes how when you empower a group of people with some sort of mandate or perceived mandate of influence or authority, then they will act on it and embrace the role. And so how does this extend to the corporate world? Well, I mean, if you're watching this and you've clicked on this video, then you probably already know. We've all had shitty bosses, and they will take the title of associate manager, senior manager, director, etc. Insert nonsense title here. They'll take it to the max, and it's as if they believe that they are the true wards of the company's treasury. They are the zealots that are willing to espouse the corporate credo until the ship sinks, right? And then they're, of course, the ones who are shell-shocked when the layoff happens, ultimately. But these are the individuals, the middle managers of the corporate world especially, who are the sharks and the potential thorns in your side for pursuing your own creative dream. I can't, the words come out all at once because it's such an interesting topic. But truly, what we have is where the managers in many parts of the corporate world, and it's not just the United States, it's all over. They perceive themselves as better than you because they have a fake title, right? They were put in a position to lead a team, maybe. And of course, there's some managers that are by their nature good-natured people, but oftentimes when the corporate control or the corporate vice is gripped, they will carry out the orders, and they will often do their duty to the utmost. And we've seen it time and time again, haven't we? So it's just something to be aware of. My dad always used to tell me growing up, no company loves you. And he saw this from a mile away. This is back in the 80s, that you are very replaceable at your job. And it's important to remind yourself of this, especially as you are working in your working world. The job is just a means to an end. Now, are there some career paths that are fulfilling? Sure. But most people don't grow up to aspire to be some kind of just paper pusher, right? We do these jobs for the most part, especially corporate jobs, for the money and for what it allows us to do. So keeping that in mind, it's very easy to get caught up in the mission statement of a company, thinking that company is really looking out for you, when the trajectory of the past 100+ years shows you are disposable, you are replaceable. And with that in mind, keeping that in mind, even if it's a harsh truth, will allow you to be mentally free, right? So just remember, and it's functioning off of taking advantage of human psychology, that by infusing a manager, especially those middle managers who are there to be the, put you under the boot of the company motto. They want to facilitate this sense of entitlement and superiority for those that are promoted or those that are hired in from the outside. Oh, that's the worst when you have a boss that's hired in from out of nowhere and all of a sudden they start trying to push their weight around. Ridiculous. But it is an element of division that is purposely being sown so that you are perceived as less than, right? Perceived as the cog. And it's a little soul crushing, but when you realize that's the mission of whoever the boss is, oftentimes, it allows you to mentally disassociate from that particular task and not take it personally and understand that you need to use your corporate gig as a means to an end for your own rejuvenation of your soul, right? And your boss is not better than you, right? But oftentimes they will take this attitude when you are their subordinate that they don't want you to earn more money than them. They don't want you to be paid the same as them, right? The title, their title makes them higher than you, even though it's fake. It's nonsense. It's a fugazi. So just keep it in mind that if you want to see how this is another one from my dad. If you want to see how replaceable you are at work, put your arm in a bucket of water, pull your arm out, and see how quickly the hole is replaced by the water. That's how quickly a company will replace you. But keeping that in mind, that hopefully is something to absorb. And I think as this world has changed, people are waking up to that. There is more out there than just work. But keeping that in mind will allow you to hopefully fuel yourself forward, pursue your mission, pursue your creativity and your passions. And just be wary of the corporatism and the corporate world as it tries to squeeze you. But it's your choice if you let it.